My major surprise when I started was that a lot of people have too much. So I'm saying sometimes, especially with supplement, which because it's so easy, as you said, it's much easier to take a pill than to go outside and exercise. So people are trying to compensate by taking supplement, and a lot of us are taking too much. So that was a surprise to me that we could see who is the person that actually over supplementing, and we need to be careful with that.
Welcome to the Spartan Up Podcast with Joe De Sena, founder and CEO of Spartan Race.
We are talking about overcoming obstacles. The same way we teach people to get over obstacles on the course, we will teach you here on the Spartan Up Podcast to get over obstacles in your mind.
What can your blood tell you about your diet, about your sleep, and about your overall health? Today, Dr. Gil Blander, the founder of InsideTracker, tells Joe.
Hey guys, Joe De Sena here, founder of Spartan Up Podcast and everything tough and gritty. And I got Gil Blander, Dr. Gil Blander, who founded a company I know pretty well, at least since 2015, InsideTracker. And what they do is they do exactly that. They track your insides. They take your blood. He's basically a vampire. You've taken my blood since 2015, and you check the blood, and you don't. I just want to explain to everybody, you don't print out like an old MS-DOS document like the old days with blood reports that no one could read. You give a beautiful, easy to read analysis of my blood, and you tell me what I'm doing wrong or doing right. Is that pretty much a good summation?
Yeah, I couldn't say better, Joe. So maybe I should hire you.
Maybe you should hire me. Right now we can't have events. So what's been awesome, guys, I don't want this to sound like a commercial. It's not meant to be. What's been awesome, though, with Gil and his team at InsideTracker is they've been doing it since 2015 with me. So we've been able to look at my blood, and every time I make a change, like I do less burpees, or I take less cold showers, or I don't carry my kettlebell, or I eat ultra-processed foods, the team, you guys have been able to notice like a reaction to that.
So maybe I will describe what we are doing in maybe a bit scientific way. So we are looking at around 45 blood biomarkers that allow us to understand what's happening inside your body. So we are taking an holistic way and looking at everything that's happening inside your body. Using blood, we actually recently also added DNA analysis, and we also started to connect those guys, Fitbit, Apple Watch. We are working on Garmin. So basically getting a lot of information about the person, and then running it together with our database of peer-reviewed scientific publication that basically connect those blood biomarkers, activity tracker, DNA data, with what is published in the literature, and then giving you the best intervention that's good for you based on the level of your glucose and cholesterol and testosterone and stress hormones and other, and then hopefully allow you to perform better, either on the court or out the court, in the boardroom or out the boardroom, and basically allowing you at the end of the day to live better, longer life. We really believe that it's not also only lifespan, but also health span. So it's not enough to live to 100, but in the last 20 years to be connected to a lot of tubes and lie on a bed for 20 years. We want Joe to continue to climb mountains and carry rocks and do whatever he likes to do and climb the rope behind him. So we are trying to do that for everyone. And our goal and mission is to allow everyone in the world to live longer, better life.
Yeah, no, and you definitely helped me over the last 5 years. As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, we literally saw changes in my blood as I changed my diet, even if they're minor changes, and it gave me enough feedback. I don't know, there's something different about getting feedback on your blood than there is wearing a Fitbit watch. You know, how many steps did I do today, whatever, but like when you get that information about your blood, I don't know, it's just a lot more real and you feel like you have to take action. We're no more fooling around. Like, okay, I skipped a few days with my steps on my Fitbit, or I can't mess around with my blood.
Yeah. I completely agree with you, because blood is, we call it validate and calibrate everything. It's a liquid gold. If you think about it, 70% of the medical decisions are done based on blood data. So we are giving, what we are doing, we are taking everything that is medical and bringing it to consumer, but instead of telling you, hey, we need to operate you, we are giving you recommendations that are easy to do. Basically, eat more of that food, exercise more or less, sleep more or less, take this supplement. So basically, it's a very simple and tangible recommendation that hopefully allow you to bring your blood level to optimized level. Because until InsideTracker, the blood was used only for medical, but also there was only the normal zone. But Joe is not an average Joe. Joe is really unique. And so we are building an optimal zone for each person based on his demographic information, male versus female, but also based on age and based on the athletic activity. So we are giving you an optimal zone that's good for you. And then if you are out of the optimal zone, we'll give you the intervention that are best for you to optimize yourself.
And what are some of the things you're checking for? Like, what, I know there's 40 plus, key biomarkers. Yeah. Give us a couple that really move the needle.
So we are starting from as simple as a metabolic marker, glucose, lipids, cholesterol, inflammation marker, which are super important, especially now in the COVID time. So we have like 10 different inflammation markers. We're looking at your liver health. So we have a few markers for that. And then we're starting to get into the more, let's say, exciting markers, vitamin D, that is again, very super important for COVID, B12. And then we are looking at hormones that I think that it's maybe the coolest for your audience. So testosterone and cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And then we are looking at markers that related to more like a performance, such as creatine kinase, basically marker of muscle damage. Iron is super important for athletic active populations, especially premenopausal women. We found that almost 50% of the premenopausal women have low iron and they don't know about it. And if you have a low iron, it's not only that you won't run the marathon as fast as you can, or do your Spartan race as good as you can. It's also can compromise your behavior in the office, because the iron carries the oxygen from the lung to your brain and muscle. So it's very important to be sure that you have enough iron, and especially for women, and especially for athletic active people, because when we are running, we have a micro damage in our gut that allows some blood to leak out. So everyone that exercising a lot should measure his iron and be sure that he doesn't have too little of it.
They're going to need some of that Spartan tea that we get from Sparta, Greece, because, it translates from ancient Spartan or ancient Greek to English, and it translates, he is of iron. So I guess they got to drink more Spartan tea. But that's an important fact, right? Like, I think we're all a little short in vitamin D. Most of us are a little short in iron. The reality is the food supply we have these days doesn't compare to the food supply 100 years ago, because the soils are depleted. There's a lot of toxicity in the air and the water. Is that a good way to think about it?
Yeah, and it's also the fact that if you look at I always look at that as a building block. So we have around 8,000 different building blocks in the world, like 8,000 different food items. If you look at the average person in the world in the average week, we consume around 20 of those. So we have a universe like that, but we are using this part. More importantly is that most of us are using the same 20 items. And we have like a full universe, but all of us are focused on chicken and cheese and so on and so forth. So what is nice about InsideTracker, that we are exposing you to the universe and then telling you, hey Joe, you have been here, but actually you might need to move to here, and that will help to solve a lot of your problems. So basically, move the drug cabinet from the bathroom into the refrigerator. Let's use the food as a drug of choice. So I think that's very important.
You guys told me recently, after looking at my blood, that I need to eat more chia seeds. And a lot of people might not eat chia seeds. Here we are the first time in history where we have access to foods from all over the world. But you're right, some people only eat pizza.
Yeah.
Seriously, some people, I have family members, they eat pizza 5 nights a week. It's disgusting. But anyway, that's another topic. What patterns are you seeing? You look at millions of people. What patterns emerge that we could learn for our own lives?
Yeah, so one pattern is we can improve significantly our nutrition. And it sounds like most of us have a lot of work to do. We can see also that we have a big problem with, as you said, vitamin D. And it's interesting that even people that somehow spending a lot of time outside might have a low vitamin D. And so I think that that's something that is very important to take care of. I think that for your audience, which I assume is mainly athletic active population working hard, we can see that a lot of them have a lot of damage or sometimes exercising too much. So we see a high of creatine kinase and low testosterone, which responds to high exercise, but actually, if you exercise too much, your testosterone will go up, down, and high cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So people need to exercise or train hard, but also take some time to rest. Some people are exercising too much and not resting enough. And everyone is different. We can see in the liver enzyme, it's very interesting. Some people are really sensitive for alcohol, and you can see that their liver enzyme are shooting to the roof, and some other can drink alcohol like crazy and nothing happen. So basically everyone is unique. And that's why I'm saying it's very important to test, because then you see what happened and then you can react to that. And I think, Joe, you are a good example, someone that's using it for 5 years. And again, I've seen some interesting effect, and then you responded to that and fixed them. So that's great.
So in general, one of the patterns we're seeing, if we exercise, we tend to be a little crazy and maybe exercise too much, and that'll affect your testosterone levels. What will it affect in women? Women's testosterone levels are not going lower. How does too much exercise affect women negatively?
Yeah, so we've seen, especially with young women, and especially with a low BMI, that when you are exercising a lot, actually it's shut down all the hormone system, and basically they become sterile, or basically they don't have the monthly cycle, and that can compromise their future to bear kids. So guys, we see that.
Hang on, guys. If you're out there listening, when we look at, and you correct me, doctor, but when we look at the masses, in general, we exercise too little. We don't exercise too much. So an hour a day of moderate intensity is not too much. I just didn't want a bunch of people listening to this saying, oh, Dr. Gil says we don't have to work out as much. Now we're only going to work out once a month. Joe was wrong. No, every day, moderate intensity, at least an hour. And if you can't give me that, just give me 30 burpees a day.
No, I completely agree. What I'm talking about, the real pro, the real Spartan racer that exercise more than 2 hours or 3 hours a day, every day. I'm not talking, I'm doing like an hour a day, and I'm not taking a day off because I don't need it. It's not like, but I'm talking about those people. Definitely the average person, an hour a day is great. But again, you need to see the sign. If you are too tired and you had a crappy night, don't go and exercise hard. Take a day rest. So listen to your body, and if you can, listen to your blood.
You know what's funny, Doc, is I'm just thinking to the people out there listening, I'm going to start bringing this up more. People don't like to exercise. We know that. It's hard work. People do like to drink. People do like desserts. People do like to sleep in late. And so maybe if you're feeling a little tired, maybe if you're not feeling optimal, maybe rather than giving up the exercise, you should give up the chocolate dessert cake, and you should give up the alcohol, and you should get to bed a little earlier, right? So I think we agree. What patterns have emerged that are surprising to you? Like maybe when you got into this business, you guys had one thesis, but you saw something and said, gee, we didn't expect that.
Yeah, I think that my major surprise when I started was that a lot of people have too much. And I can give you an example. If you look at the vitamin B12, there are a lot of energy drinks that have a lot of vitamin B12. All the multivitamin have a lot of vitamin B12. A lot of people are feeling more the merrier. And you can see that a lot of our users are actually coming to us and saying, stop supplementing with B12, stop drinking energy drink, stop doing all of that because too much vitamin B12 is not good. So I'm saying sometimes, especially with supplement, because it's so easy, as you said, it's much easier to take a pill than to go outside and exercise. So people are trying to compensate by taking supplement. And a lot of us are taking too much. So that was a surprise to me that we could see who is the person that actually over supplementing, and we need to be careful with that.
I didn't even consider that, but you're right. America does like its energy drinks and its 700 calorie coffees with whipped cream and sprinkle. What about the effects on mood and focus? Are you seeing, like, I don't know if you get into these psychological questions, but are you seeing certain blood analysis that then ties to like depression or negative mood? Or
vitamin B12, actually, what we discussed before, if you have a low B12, it can impact your brain and thinking and all of that. Magnesium is another interesting marker that related very strongly to sleep. And we know very well that when you don't sleep well, your mood is much lower, and also you will be tend to gain weight because when you are tired, you tend to eat more. So definitely we see a lot of markers that related to that. And another one is the cortisol, the stress hormone. Again, if you don't sleep enough, you are more stressful. When you exercise in the right amount, the cortisol will be optimized and also the testosterone. But again, if you not exercise enough, what you said, and I completely agree with you, like 90% of Americans are not exercising enough, that will decrease the testosterone. But if you exercise too much, it also will go up. So you need to find a balance of all of those.
Here's a question for the audience. Before COVID, how many people globally out of over 7 billion people, I just found this out yesterday, how many people had gym memberships in your mind, doctor? Out of 7+ billion people, how many actually, by the way, just because they had a gym membership doesn't mean they went.
Yeah.
What do you think? How many people?
10%.
Actually, a lot less. It was below 5%.
Wow.
It was almost like 2.5%, 3% of the world had gym memberships, and you and I know maybe 20% of those actually go to the gym. So it's a tiny, tiny number that are actually going to the gym. So please don't give up exercise because Dr. Gil said you might be exercising too much. Some of you may. We know a few outliers. What should everybody eat?
I think that you should increase the amount of fiber that you consume. And a great solution for that is oatmeal, especially steel cut oatmeal. So I'm doing it every day. It's a pain to cook it. It's taking me maybe 20 minutes to cook it, but then you appreciate it because it's take time for the water to absorb inside. And the fiber can help you with the digestive system, but also all the metabolic markers, especially glucose and the LDL. So that's something that definitely is important. Again, I'm trying to give something that is more like for everyone. So try not to eat any food that is coming in a package. So try to eat something that is natural. I'm sure that Joey will agree with me. So eat whole food, fruit, vegetable, meat. Try to eat a lean meat. Don't drink too much alcohol, but alcohol is not bad. So you can drink kind of 1 or 2 drinks in alcohol. Some people are more sensitive, some are less. So it's up to you. Coffee, I don't drink coffee because I don't feel like I need coffee, but I know that there is a lot of data in the literature that coffee is good. Again, don't drink too much and don't drink it half an hour before you go to sleep, and that will be good. And then there are some food that are more like a superfood, like all the berries and all of that. Try to eat them more. If you have a choice and you have the budget, they are more expensive. Eat more berries than other fruits because they have a lot of fiber. They also have a lot of antioxidants. Other food that I think that are very good are beans. That again, I don't think that we are eating them enough, and beans are good. Again, they might have some other effect, but everyone is different. So I think that there are a few simple things to do. Another thing that is not what to eat, but when to eat, and I know that Joe, you are also interested in it, is the chronobiology or intermittent fasting. So there is a lot of data that show that allowing the body to fast and basically clean himself have been shown to have a lot of benefits. And actually, I'm coming from aging research. I spent 5 years at MIT studying aging. And caloric restriction is a regime that actually have been shown to increase the lifespan of almost all the model organisms: rat, mice, monkeys, fish, worms, yeast. So it can increase the lifespan by up to 50%. Again, we haven't seen it in human yet because we are living too long, but there are some data that show that a caloric restricted human have been shown a positive effect. Glucose went down, cholesterol went down, blood pressure went down, definitely the weight went down. So if you want to lose weight, that can be a good regime. Again, if we're talking about intermittent fasting, let me just give the explanation. So I'm talking now either of 16 hours of fast and 8 hours of feed, or even 18 hours of fast and a 6 hour of feed. So don't feast all the 6 hours. Try to eat as normal, and then because you don't eat before, you actually have less calories that you consume. So I think that that's a great intervention, and it's pretty easy to do. So what I'm doing, I stop eating around 6 or 7 p.m., so dinner early, and then I'm trying to eat breakfast as late as possible, maybe 11, maybe even noontime. And that's allowed me pretty easily to have the window of fasting. And it's pretty easy because you have two decisions. I'm stopping eating now and I'm starting eating then. And then you continue with your diet. It's not too complex.
Yeah, I would say stop me anywhere. But as I was listening to you, I was thinking about all the things that my mother was preaching since the 70s. And then all the things I've learned talking to people like you and SpaceX engineers who study diet and doctors and icemen that live in the ice, literally. Here's what I found the typical day should look like for those listening, and then we could wrap it up. But you tell me, you push back anywhere you don't like it. Wake up early, try to wake up the same time, go to bed the same time. That's almost more important than the number of hours you sleep. Try to set your clock 7 days a week. This is when I wake up, this is when I go to bed. Try to wake up early and get a sweat on. Well, drink a bunch of water in the morning because you want to flush out the toxins. Get a sweat on before breakfast. I try to eat between 9 and 5 p.m., as Dr. Gil said, but maybe you go 11 to 7. Try to eat for 8 or 9 hours a day and be shut down the rest of the time. Is that we're in agreement on those?
Yeah.
Take a cold shower in the morning. It sucks, but science shows that it really does wonders. I take a cold shower at night before I go to bed, and that really helps eliminate a bunch of stress, helps me sleep great. Both cold showers, morning and night, they suck, but they really have a tremendous impact. I try to eat more plant-based. I think when you look at the blood of people, because I've had conversation with you guys, the plant-based diets, and you could let some animal protein come in, but don't let that be the bulk of your diet. You said you're seeing good results. So it's not that hard to be healthy, guys, and have a health span like Dr. Gil talks about, rather than a lifespan. You don't want to be on tubes and wires for 20 years in a hospital at the end of your life, right? You want to go right to the end and drop dead.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think that you nailed it. We call it a chronobiology. A lot of the thing that you said is basically try to do everything that you're doing at the same time every day, because our body wired in the 24-hour circle. And if you're changing it, it's confused the body and confuse the system. So try to be as consistent as possible that's a very big improvement that might make a lot of improvement in your life.
And one last thing I recently learned is if you're going to breathe, and we all have to breathe to live, try to breathe through the nose. Try to breathe through the nose. The nose was designed to take in the air. I'm being told by researchers that when we breathe through the mouth, when we do mouth breathing, it's almost like revving a car at the stoplight and you're not going anywhere. Very inefficient on the body. And so you do those things, you'll live to 150 years old. But make sure you get your blood checked with Dr. Gil, right? Find out if the things you're doing are working for you. Don't drink the energy drinks. Dr. Gil, I can't believe you said alcohol was okay. But I guess they could have a little sip every once in a while. You're awesome. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Joe. It was a pleasure.